Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel for another video. My name is Diana and I create cross-stitch patterns under the name Diana Bloom Designs. I live here in the Canadian prairies with my husband, our two wonderful daughters, and our dog named Scout. Today I am very excited to get to bring you an extra video this month where I can announce the collaboration I've been working on with Evertote and Roxy Floss Co. So this is a special Christmas collaboration that has actually been in the works since January. Caroline messaged me a beautiful picture of fabric and said, "Are you in?" I said, "Absolutely." So since then, we've been working back and forth, and I got to work on my part of the project, which was creating the actual stitch pattern that's going to go alongside the beautiful bags that they are making at Evertote. And we've designed everything, of course, with Roxy Flosco flosses and fabric. And altogether, it creates a very beautiful kit that is available now at Evertote. So I will link that below. And today I'm very excited to get to share sort of my side of the story. I'm going to show you the pattern itself. I'm going to talk about sort of the design process behind where it all came together. And I'm also going to show you my model so far. I already stitched a model for Caroline and then recently decided that I would like one for myself as well. So I'm about 40% of the way done mine, and I'm excited to show you that too. You might have seen a sneak peek in my last video where I did talk about this, but this video is going to be all encompassing, all about this collaboration. So to start off with, I will tell you that the name of the pattern I designed is called Merry Berry Christmas, and I will bring up a picture of it here. So Merry Berry Christmas is 144 by 180 for the stitch count. So it's not overly huge. I think it's 6 by 8 on 40 count, if I'm not mistaken. And it's 8,594 stitches. It is stitched on Roxy Flosco Panettone linen and has Roxy Flosco flosses. You can see in the picture there is a chickadee peeking out of a little birdhouse and then a second chickadee on top peeking down. I really love the overall look of this pattern in that it's very folky, and I mentioned this in my last video too, that it uses very natural colors. So it's all Christmassy colors, very wintry, but they're kind of in the natural form. So it's like the greenery actually of evergreens and the reds of berries. That birdhouse is meant to look like it is carved out of a piece of birch. So as if someone took a white branch off of a birch tree and they carved it out and did little engravings, little carvings around the outside edge just to give it some detail. I really love how the ribbon turned out, where it's the birdhouse is hanging on that bright red bow. I think that's super pretty and it's very satisfying to stitch. So a little bit of the story of where this came from. I learned that I was doing some research on chickadees when I was coming up with this design. And apparently, male chickadees will bring female chickadees gifts, usually food, when they are courting or nesting. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cute if they knew about Christmas? Because I'm sure that they would also bring little gifts to the female chickadees on Christmas. So this is what that's meant to look like. The chickadee on top is bringing a little Christmas present to the chickadee in the birdhouse, and they're going to have a wonderful Christmas together. What else can I tell you about this? I'd love to show you the flosses in person. This is the floss ring. Again, there's like a few reds, a few greens, this caramel color, which is like all the branches. Very kind of natural and earthy, folky and woodsy, and still very, very Christmassy. This yellow color is called Hive Mind, and it has beautiful variegation. It really, really brings a lot to this piece. All of the leaves are outlined in Hive Mind, and it features a lot in the chickadee. And the variation is so nice because it brings a really natural element to the leaves, and then also brings a really beautiful natural element to the birds because the way that the color shifts makes it look a lot more natural. It gives a lot more dimension and detail without having to constantly change to brighter and darker yellows. Then when you look at it, like it doesn't appear to be overly variegated, but just it gives enough color shift. I've got a few different grays. I love the way that they come together in the birds to create beautiful texture and definition there too. So those are the flosses. And I'll show you my stitching so far, and then I will show you some pretty funny looking sketches so that I can tell you kind of what the design process was and where this pattern came from. So like I said, I'm about 40% of the way done my stitch. Here's where I'm at. So that's the Roxy Flosco Panettone linen. You can see I'm getting some good detailing on the bow there. I'm gonna try to get a little closer. And then I've started outlining my leaves there with that hive mind, and you can see that variegation. So pretty. And that bow is brought together with 3 different reds. It's got Tuesday, Fallow Red, and Cheeky. And I really like how it looks to be very luminous and shiny. My one chickadee there, I've got a few stitches left in him, but he is mostly done. And then I'm very excited actually to do the fill-in on the birdhouse. I really enjoy doing fill-in, but in my designs, I don't have a ton of it usually. So I'm pretty excited. That's going to be nice to work on. And then you can see I've got my my second chickadee, the one that's inside the birdhouse, just coming together there, starting to peek out. My favorite part of stitching this piece is stitching the little berries as the gift, the one that the top chickadee is holding. So I always save that to the end. Very excited to get to that and to get to add in the greenery. That's also very satisfying. So in terms of where this pattern came from, when I initially saw the fabric that Caroline had showed me, I really liked that it featured chickadees and cardinals because they're such iconic Christmas birds. So I had initially thought that I would use a chickadee and a cardinal. My husband and I, he helped me brainstorm, and he helped me brainstorm so much on this one. He also actually named the pattern. But he was talking to me, and I wanted to incorporate either stars or birdhouses. I wanted something to kind of reflect back to the fabric, but in a way that was new, in a way that didn't actually look like anything off of the fabric itself. You'll see when you see the kit together. So I liked the idea of either like big stars hanging down or houses, maybe a row of houses. And my husband was the one that said, what if the chickadee was like peeking out of the house? And I loved that. And I loved the idea of like friends coming home for Christmas. So I thought I was going to have a cardinal flying by kind of on his way back for Christmas. And the chickadee's going to peek his head out, and it was going to be really, really cute. I'll show you. I actually did a lot of sketching in the design software, which is different for me, but it does mean that I have a lot of very sort of sketchy pixelated drawings to show you. And I'm very happy about that. So here's a picture of the initial look. So that was the chickadee peeking his head out of the little house, and then the cardinal flying by. And I think you'll see too, there's like a winding branch wreath. Again, I wanted to keep everything feeling very natural, like these were things that could be found outside, brought together to create decorations. Right away, I felt like that cardinal felt very far away. It looked lonely, like it looked like the chickadee was like looking longingly, wishing he had a friend or something. I was like, okay, moved on to the idea of maybe the cardinal sitting on top of the house, peeking down and maybe bringing a branch to his friend. I liked it. It was, having something red in the center is a very good way to create focal point, which was good, but I thought he did sort of take away from the chickadee inside the house. And my husband right away thought, like, he looks a little grumpy. So I kind of like, I kept trying to play with it and make him look like a little softer, a little sweeter. I'm like, maybe it's the shading or maybe more shading. How do I soften that face, pick different reds? Um, and because we started back in January, my favorite part of getting to design this piece was how much time I had for it. I had it in the background of all of my other stuff, and I was sort of every couple of days I'd pick it back up and work on it for like a little bit. And that's such a nice way of working because it means that you get to, like, you're not thinking about it, but by leaving and coming back, it's like your brain gets to process without you, basically. So every time you come back to it, you have fresh eyes for it and new ideas. And it was such a good way to work on it. But anyways, back to the story. My husband came home. We got the kids to bed. He went to the gym. I'm charting away. And I remember he walked into the office and I said, I think I've got it. I'm pretty sure that the cardinal doesn't even look grumpy anymore, which he did. Um, and so my husband walked in and he looked at me and he's like, you're not going to like this. I was like, what? What could it be? And he was like, what if it wasn't a cardinal? I was like, no, I'm so close. Like, I really think this is it. Like, I'm so close. And at this point, I was also no longer really enjoying the twisting branch border. It looked like a lot of stitches, but it didn't feel like it was bringing enough to the table. It was going to be like a full skein of each color. It was a lot to do and a lot to stitch. And I think it was going to be like a little fussy trying to make, a lot of counting for what it is. I don't know. I really just wasn't loving it anymore. And then he said, what if it was another chickadee instead? I think it'd be more cohesive, softer looking, and then it gets rid of the grumpy bird. So I do feel like I need to do another cardinal now to do them justice because they don't inherently look grumpy, but mine certainly did in this pattern. So that's when I did a little bit of research and I loved the idea of it being the male bringing the female a little gift and they're together and they're home with their family for Christmas and just celebrating together instead of like two friends coming from far away. It's just a little family. I thought that was really cute. And I started doing up some sketching. I had the hardest time especially because chickadees are smaller, I felt like it had to be a little bit closer so that and I wanted them to be a little bit more engaged with each other. Like I felt like the cardinal looked looming because I didn't feel like the chickadee inside the house could really see it. Like it was like, is something up there? You know what I mean? So I wanted them to be really proper looking at each other. And it was really hard to find a reference photo for that. So I thought, well, I don't know. I'm just going to give it a shot. And it did not look natural. Like it didn't look like a real bird would really look like that. Again, like here's the sketch and it's pretty pixely, but you can see that like the shape isn't right. So I went and I found some more references and I tried again and it was closer, but again, the shape just wasn't right. So I ended up taking all of my reference photos that I had of chickadees, which at this point was a lot. And I found two that would work. Two or three, I can't remember. And I brought them into Photoshop and I photoshopped these birds together to create the reference that I needed. So I like made a new bird in Photoshop and I was like, there, that's it. And from that point, charting went much, much faster. And that was awesome. And that's how the chickadee on top came to be. And then I changed the ribbon to red and I made it greenery in the bow instead of the whole border all the way around, which I think is a lot softer. And I really, really like how it came together. That's basically where the whole pattern came from. And now it is as you see it. And I'm just really happy. I love everywhere that it went. I love the whole journey it went on and how it came out. So happy with this pattern. I'm very excited to have my own version of it up on the wall. And I think I'm 40% done. I'm going pretty quick. It's only 8,500 stitches. So I don't have too much more to go. I really think I'm going to get to enjoy it this Christmas, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to convince myself of that, but I really think so. So yes, that is Merry Berry Christmas. I hope that you like it. And I'm very excited for you to hop over to Evertote so that you can see the actual whole kit itself. It's just so cute the way that everything came together. And I'm excited for you to see all of it together. And Evertote is actually now carrying some of my printed charts. And they eventually, I think, will be carrying all of my charts as printed charts. I'm very excited for that. I have not yet had charts available in print. They've always been PDF. This is my first time being in an actual store, and I'm very grateful to get to be in the Evertote shop specifically. I just love Evertote, you know it, and it feels so good to get to have printed charts and to be working even further with them. So yes, I hope you like it. I guess I have nothing left to show you. I'm so excited. I feel like there should be more. I hope that you're all having a wonderful stitchy day. Thank you for taking the time to come and be with me today and hear about this exciting collaboration. I will see you in a couple of weeks now for my next regular floss tube video. Happy stitching, everybody.